And then I hear time and time again, the same people, once they get to that mark, they're not happy. Like, it's like that Mount Everest thing. They're like, oh, but I don't feel good. I don't feel secure. Like, let's just keep going. Let's make it 2 million. Let's go. Like
that whole more is better mentality.
Yeah, it's always moving that yardstick. Like you're just climbing. It's so cliche again, the hamster wheel. You're on this hamster wheel and you're trying to reach for something and you never really get there.
Yeah.
And I always think, like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of
What
that?
is the point? I mean, who stops to ask that question? What is the actual point?
Yeah. Why not drop everything and just, I don't know, figure it out. Like, figure out how to enjoy your life in every moment. That's the toughest thing. I think that's the toughest thing to do. Everybody's got work. So everybody has the biggest excuse in the world. They know if 8 to 10 hours every day, all of life goes on hold because all of us have to work, right?
Yeah.
Now you remove that work. What are you left with? Now you're left with like an open canvas. So your race to financial independence you thought was going to be like sipping cocktails on your island. Mm-hmm. Now you just have an open canvas of your life. Recording from my studio here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a born and raised New Yorker, now living in the South. Welcome to Confessions of a Financial Advisor, the antidote to conventional financial independence wisdom. My name is Al. I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years. I've worked with thousands of clients in all areas of the country and from all walks of life. Through the relationships I had with these people, I've discovered the mindsets and behaviors that are most effective in a person's financial life, plus the pitfalls and all the BS to watch out for. The financial independence community today has completely lost its way, and I felt it was time to call out the FI gurus, podcasters, and self-proclaimed pundits. This podcast is not about the numbers. That's what all the other financial podcasts talk about. We will focus on the emotional and psychological components that drive our behavior. I am not looking for new clients, and I'm not interested in running for any kind of office. I'm going to tell you like it is from an insider's perspective and pull back the curtain on the financial industry. Now, let's get into Confessions of a Financial Advisor. All right, episode 12. So we have Financial Independence 101 and Race to Financial Independence, or Race to FI. I am here with my partner in crime once again, Diane. Hey.
Hey, Al.
How you doing?
Great to be here.
Great to have you here. So we want to basically just show you where to follow us. You can follow us at faconfessions.com. We're on all major platforms like iTunes and Google.
Castbox, wherever.
Castbox.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts, pretty much.
Yeah, so if you like what you're hearing, leave us a review, like, share.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Yes, please subscribe. So yeah, we're going to talk about Financial Independence 101 and the race to financial independence. And we've combined these two blog posts because we thought they related. And once again, we like combining our financial...
They marry well together.
They marry well. So we've been talking about the race to financial independence, but I mean, it could be the race to anything. In this context, we're talking about financial independence. Mm-hmm. But when you're racing towards some goal, racing towards something that you do not currently have.
To some destination.
Right. Some destination that you think, when I get there, then I'll be happy. Or when I get there, then I'll have it all figured out. I always think about the stories of people that climb Mount Everest.
Yeah. And how they feel afterward.
Yeah. I mean, and just the scale of, I mean, it's easy to just say those words like climb Mount Everest. Like Mount Everest is 29,000 feet. I've heard it costs like over $30,000 just to basically pay for like the Sherpas, the equipment, just everything that's associated with that trip. It's like a $30,000 trip minimum. And then you're putting your life at risk. So, you know, once you're above a certain, they call it like the death zone.
Right.
I think it's like above 18,000 or 20,000 feet. Well, maybe it's higher than that. I don't really know. But there's a place called the death zone where there's so little oxygen that your body is literally just eating away at itself. And you'll
Sounds
lose.
fun.
Yeah. You'll lose a third of your body weight, like on the top of Mount Everest. And, so anyway, it's like one of the hardest feats. And that's why it's almost like a cliche. Like, oh, it's like climbing Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same sort of thing with the race to financial independence. Because it's like you think there's this destination. And yeah.
Like there's a pinnacle that you're going to get to.
And the weird thing is there kind of is. I mean, obviously you're at the top of this mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But as the story goes for many people that climb Mount Everest, they go through sometimes a severe depression after they've done it. So they've made this giant, mile marker.
They've achieved it. They've gotten there.
They did it. They've worked their whole lives climbing mountains. Now they've climbed Mount Everest, the highest mountain. There's nothing higher to climb.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like once it's over, it's like then like I think the reality sits in like, what do I do now? What now?
Yeah.
It always goes back to that what now. So that race to FI, the way that I've been seeing it over at least the last 5 to 10 years of my life is that it's this feeling of time is running out.
Like a sense of urgency.
Yeah, I'm getting older. It's people, I've seen friends get sick.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen death. I've seen just, mental breakdowns, burnout, failing health, like all different kinds of things that are happening. And I'm like, it's almost giving me like some sort of anxiety of like, oh man, I got to get there quick. What am I going to do if I don't get there? I'm just going to like keel over and die.
Better get my act together. Yeah.
Yeah. Do I want to spend my whole life like just on this treadmill trying to work? And then like once I retire, then I'm just going to keel over and die and not enjoy any of it.
Yeah.
So it's this weird feeling. It's like a pull in two different directions where like I feel like I got to get there faster. And then there's a part of me that's like, no, you got to enjoy your life now. What are you doing? Like you can't
be
just
present. Yeah.
So you're kind of like torn between two worlds. You want to get there as fast as possible, but you still want to like have some
enjoyment
pleasure.
And where is the middle ground? You can go to one extreme or another, but is that really sustainable long term?
I think that's, I guess it's unique to each person. What's sustainable? And I always talk about it relating to playing drums. I consider myself like an intermediate drum player. I'm definitely not like an expert, not a beginner. I'm like somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. And I realized early on, because I've always wanted to get better and get better and get better. And, I've had drum teachers tell me like, you got to practice 2-3 hours a day if you really want to progress. And I'm like,
sounds like a lot.
I have a job, basically I work, I have kids, responsibility, I got other things going on. It's one thing when you're 14 years old and you're in your parents'
You got
basement.
nothing else to do. Yeah.
You got nothing else to do. You got plenty of time. All you got is time, right?
Right.
But for me as an adult, I started to try to press like, all right, let me at least get 2 hours in. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't do it. Like I just couldn't do it for more than like a week at a time. And it would become so frustrating. I just start to like not look forward to playing drums. I'm like, oh, I got 2 hours.
Like almost resentment in a way.
Yeah, like you just don't want to do it. Like there's no motivation to do it, and it becomes a tedious chore. Mm-hmm. Like, how could drums be a tedious chore? It's something I want to do. And I was talking to you, Diane, of course, as we talk before every podcast.
We just talk all the time.
we do a whole podcast before the podcast. And I was asking you about like reading. I'm like, so you read more than anybody I know. But if somebody told you tomorrow that you have to read 2 books a day for this next year.
I'd be like, screw that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it at all. Like the defiant part of me is like,
It's not sustainable, right?
No.
It's just, so you got to find like that level that you're comfortable with.
Well, and we were talking, so I logged my reading on an app called Goodreads, which a lot of readers use. And just because I like to see the visual log of my reading. And in years past, it would prompt me in January, every new year, it prompt me to set a reading goal for the year. And I would do it. And I'd be like, I got to hit the goal. And I would. But then last year I let go and just went, well, I'm going to read however many books I'm going to read. And I ended up not just surpassing my previous year's goals, but like significantly surpassing. And it's like, oh, you let go of the control and you actually do more than you ever could have anticipated, which was interesting for me to see and realize and witness that.
And it seems that's so contrary to what,
our society tells us.
That
set the goal, have a mark.
It's got to be a mark. It's got to be written down. It's got to be clear. Like I've heard the same thing over and over again through my entire life.
Time bound.
And I've always, and like you said, the times that I've hit the goals that I wanted to, get to, it was when I did let go.
When I let go of control. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Look
like
what
some kind of like
happens.
serendipity happens, like,
Yes,
or is it
synchronicity.
synchronicity? Like something happens that because you're not thinking about it, you're not pushing toward it. It's like
I read 92 books in 2019, and I read those books for the pure enjoyment of the experience of reading them, not because I was focused on a number goal.
So there it is. So like if once the enjoyment turns into like a tedious chore, then it
turns into work, and I don't want to do
it.
And it feels heavy, and it's that whole relaxing and surrender and letting go that we're not taught.
Yeah, we're taught to push. We're taught to push, strive, go, move, faster, bigger, bigger goals. Set something outlandish, 10x. People say 10x.
Big, hairy, audacious goals. Like, screw it. Like,
that term 10x drives me crazy. We got to 10x it. We got to scale. We got to build this up and like exponential growth. I'm like, oh, yeah. What about slow, consistent, deliberate practice? We all know that works.
It's like the compound effect, the book by Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect. It's like, simple. Simple to do, simple not to do. It's that whole building over time, the momentum of everything. And like we've talked about, it's just start investing, just start saving. And over time, the compound effect just takes hold.
It's that tortoise hare thing. It's the tortoise and the hare. It's just
slow and steady.
The tortoise is boring and the hare is exciting and fast. It's just, man, I mean, it just seems so backward. So what works isn't publicized.
Right.
And what doesn't work is like all the rage, that just doesn't make any sense. And it's that idea of like, you're constantly like raising the bar. Like, so, I play an hour of drums a day and I'm comfortable with that. That's not good enough. Hour and a half. All right. Hour and a half's not good. 2 hours. And then at what point do you have negative side effects from the pushing? All you're seeing when you're doing the pushing, obviously, is like, it's this big goal and I want to get to it and I'm going to be happy and it's going to be an amazing feeling once I achieve this. But you're not seeing what you're giving up. Are you burning out? Are you giving, are you neglecting your health? Are you doing things that it's taking away from other areas of your life? Like we always talk about on this podcast, which I love that we talk about this because everybody's always talking about what are the positive effects. And then our question's always, what's the potential negative effects? I know. We're like the pessimist, maybe. I don't know.
Skeptical optimist, maybe. I don't know.
Skeptical optimist.
Cautious optimist is what I call myself.
Well, it's like looking at things from both sides. It's like, I don't want
to, just be realistic about it.
Yeah.
Like,
what are the potential consequences?
Cost benefit analysis. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. So when you get off that hamster wheel and you realize, like we're talking about the race, like the marathon. So, you win a marathon one step at a time, right? Nobody's going to run a marathon in 5 minutes.
No, you do
for the fastest people in the world, it's over 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
But you don't think of life goals that way. A lot of people, especially with like, the social media kind of platforms out there, they just think, you're just going to get 1 million followers and you're going to just, make, tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars a month doing a business that you enjoy, that you're just going to be
working from home and getting out of bed. It's like,
you're going to have 6-pack abs and beautiful cars. And I'm like, it's just an illusion. It's this really like, it's an illusion that basically draws so many young people in that it almost becomes like a reality to them. They think that this is the way the world works. And that's a scary thought, especially me having kids. I could kind of see it happening a little bit with them.
Yeah.
Like they're already concerned with like, they'll have a YouTube channel and,
how many likes am I getting? My God.
How many views or likes? Exactly.
Where are we looking for validation?
Yeah. I'm like, what if you got no likes? Does that make you a bad person? Does that make you feel
an unworthy human? Like
less self-worth because you have no views,
Right.
But who am I to talk? We're sitting here doing a podcast and I was talking to you. I'm like, man, we got 500 downloads. All life's a,
We're
hypocrisy.
all susceptible to it. Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, that slow, consistent, deliberate practice that everybody thinks is boring, that everybody doesn't want to do. It's not flashy. It's not sexy.
It's not glamorous. Nope.
Not glamorous. And it's the only thing that works.
Yeah.
And so to try to teach that to a child, try to teach that to an adult. Nobody wants to hear that. You ain't got time for that. Nobody's got time for this. Yeah. So circling this back around to running out of time. So that feeling of running out of time is like, I have to get somewhere that other than where I'm at right now.
Yes.
I got to get there fast. No good. I'm doing the opposite of that slow, consistent, deliberate practice.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like this internal restlessness to get something else, to be financially independent. You know, so we talked about the 4% rule. We talked about people are picking this number that, so for instance, like many people out there think that they can live off $40,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And so they know if they save $1 million, they'll have $40,000 a year coming in. Mm-hmm. And then, but I hear time and time again, the same people, once they get to that mark, they're not happy. Like, it's like that Mount Everest thing. They're like, oh, but I don't feel good. I don't feel secure. Like, let's just keep going. Let's make it 2 million. Let's go. Like
that whole more is better mentality.
Yeah, it's always moving that yardstick. Like you're just climbing. You're on, it's so cliche again, the hamster wheel. You're on this hamster wheel and you're trying to reach for something and you never really get there.
Yeah.
And I always think like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of
what
that?
Is the point? I mean, who stops to ask that question? What is the actual point?
Yeah. Why not drop everything and just, I don't know, figure it out. Like figure out how to enjoy your life in every moment. That's the toughest thing. I think that's the toughest thing to do. Everybody's got work. So everybody has the biggest excuse in the world. Mm-hmm. They know if you're working for a corporation or 8 to 10 hours every day, like you have to be doing like all of life goes on hold because all of us have to work. Right.
Yeah.
Now you remove that work. What are you left with? Now you're left with like an open canvas. So your race to financial independence, you thought was going to be like sipping cocktails on your island. Mm-hmm. Now you just have an open canvas of your life that before you had the ultimate excuse. The ultimate excuse is, nope,
well, you knew what to expect.
You know where to go, where you got to be.
8 or 9 o'clock every morning, and you know when you're leaving at 5 or 6 or whatever. Yeah.
And then Friday hits, and then that's my weekend, and I get to do that. And then Monday, I go right back to it, and this is my routine. Yeah. Once you have to build your own routine, it's a lot tougher than what people would think.
You and I both relate to that being self-employed.
Yeah.
Just blew the doors off that.
Well, you were just mentioning, you said that last year you couldn't even think of a handful of days that you didn't work, right?
When's the last time I took a day off? Like I literally the last half of 2019 looked around and I'm like, when is the last time I had a full day off?
And you work for yourself.
Well, I own 2 businesses.
Yeah.
That's work from home for the majority of both of them. And it is seductively easy to get sucked into just working.
It is. There's always something to do.
Yep.
If you let your brain, and that's the whole idea of working at a corporation, which I think people that are in that corporate environment don't realize when they're in it, all they're thinking about is they want to get out of it. Right.
Right.
But what it gives you a structure.
Yes.
And it gives you, for a lot of people, maybe not all people, a lot of people bring work home with them. But for a lot of people, it gives them like 5 o'clock hits, I'm done. Now Boundaries. I get to like enjoy my life. Yeah, exactly. That turns off. I leave my laptop at work. I'm home. Now home is home.
Totally separate domains. And yes, for those of us who are self-employed, it is a totally different landscape that I'm in my living room right now.
Yeah. I'm in my office, exactly at home. We're both at home. Yeah. So it's, if you don't have like very hard boundaries,
the lines are so blurred and it's so easy to just keep working. Yeah.
Keep working. Keep racing.
Going. More is better.
We have to get, we're getting somewhere. Maybe we don't know where we're getting. We're moving. Which racing.
Is funny. I'm actually coming off of like 5 days that I actually took exclusively for myself. But I didn't work and I didn't take the laptop. And
right. Yeah. But that's what made like the rest of your, like the previous life before that vacation seems so apparent.
Leading up to it, I was like, all these people need me. All right. Well, yeah. Different state. So,
yeah. So I think it's even harder for the self-employed person. Like you have to be
really disciplined.
Super disciplined. And you have to like really stick to it, because as soon as you start swaying where you're doing emails at night or on the weekends and you do
let's not even get into the whole smartphone addiction. Like mine's on silent right now and I can't see it because
and I got my email on my phone. So my email's on my phone, social media's on my phone.
Well,
everything.
Everything is at your fingertips, literally. And so, I'm on my 5th cell phone in like 13 months, which is crazy. And so every time I have to go through and I'm like, stop notifying me. Like I have to go and change all of the settings on the phone because I don't want you to notify me when I have email. I don't want to see it.
Yeah. I still can't I got to figure that out, how to get all my notifications off. Because for whatever reason, things just pop up everywhere and I have no clue how to get out of it. So yeah, I have to figure that out.
Your daughter can probably help with that.
You're right. I got to ask her.
I'm not would know. Much
So it's this whole idea of like trying to get somewhere as fast as possible, that you're running out of time, that you're fearful of like time's running out. You're fearful that what if I don't get there fast enough? What if my health goes before I get there? And it's just like this kind of, so like you're postponing your current happiness for this future.
Well, and it's like
happiness.
Sacrificing your present enjoyment for some futuristic goal.
Right.
Well, isn't it possible maybe to enjoy your life today and also be saving for the future?
I think you can do both. And that's the whole idea. It's like, going to that financial independence 101 we were talking about.
Yes.
All right. So if you want to be financially independent, meaning you don't have to earn money in order to live your life, you eventually have enough money where you can live off of the interest or investment income from, your nest egg. So with Financial Independence 101, I always talk about negative debt. Negative debt is like, first of all, we're building this building and the lot is cleared. Yes. And if you have negative debt, there's a hole in the
ground.
It's like
somebody just the visual of that. Yeah.
Just dug a giant hole. You're going to build a house on a giant hole? Nope.
Right. Good luck with that.
So negative debt would be credit cards, holding balances on credit cards, the worst. Even holding balances on home equity loans.
Yeah.
There's so many student loans. I would say the only positive debt you should have would be primary residence. And some people question that. Mortgage on a primary residence and mortgages on investment properties that cash flow.
That are income producing. Right?
Yeah, because you definitely don't want to be owning houses where you're coming out of pocket every month. Yeah. And you're not living in them.
Yeah.
That's a losing battle. So you're starting there. So the foundation, you got to get rid of the negative debt. The negative debt, once that's gone, now you have a vacant lot that's flat.
Now you fill the hole in the ground and you have a solid
kind of stable
platform.
Earth. You got a solid earth, exactly. And then it becomes simple. I've been doing this for so long, but the simple concepts are all you really need to know. It's just you got to spend less than you earn. Spend less than you earn and invest the difference. Those are like, if you live by that rule, of course there's going to be like strategies and techniques, where do I invest the money? Okay. You can figure that out too.
Those are details that, the basic principles are very simple.
Spend less than you earn, invest the difference. And then the biggest rule of all of them is like, don't touch it.
Well, and that's the underlying foundational principle that supports the building that you're trying to construct.
Right.
With regards to financial independence. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to take a sledgehammer to your foundation, while you're living in the house.
You can. Let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah. As soon as you do that one withdrawal, as soon as you have that one emergency. Yes. Always an emergency.
How do we define an emergency?
Transmission went, my furnace went. Got it. I need a new car.
I need last July.
Yeah. I need a boat. Oh, I've heard the boat as being, that's an emergency.
Oh, yeah. Because
how could you live without a boat? Or pool. Wow, that's another good one.
Oh, don't even get me started on Just don't.
Not good for the real estate values.
Oh, dear God. Unless you're in the luxury real estate market.
Right.
Don't put in a fucking pool.
So financial independence 101 is literally just setting these habits in place and then leaving it alone and not freaking destroying it. It's like not doing anything stupid. Just don't do anything stupid. Just
don't shoot yourself in the foot. And that's what the value of professionals, that's where professional advice comes in, is to keep people from shooting themselves in the foot.
Because a lot of times
there's a reason there's a whole therapy industry, like that objective perspective. Like, just stop doing stupid shit. Like,
most people left to their own devices will do stupid shit.
We'll self-harm.
And until you come to terms with that in your own life, you're going to have some issues. Yeah. Like, I think about it. Like, I go to a therapist. I haven't gone in a while. I should probably go back. But that helps me. Like, I know left to my own devices, my mind is going to do stupid things.
It's my own worst enemy.
Yeah, you get trapped in your own head. And just getting it out there. You do it with, journaling, writing, going to therapy. Maybe you haven't gone to therapy, but I have.
I've self-therapist.
You self-therapist. Just look in the mirror.
A lot of years of, just like. But I talk about like this for us. I think both of us, this is a form of therapy. Like for us talking and communicating, like there's healing in this. So
there really is. There really
is.
And just talking about how easy it is, even people hearing this will, say to themselves, it's not that easy.
It can't be that simple.
Yeah, it's not easy in the sense. Well, I guess. All right. So what's the difference in the terminology? So it's easy to do, but it's also easy not to do.
It's easy not to do.
So it's simple.
It's simple, but it's not always comfortable.
Yes. And to do it over a long period of time. So anyone if I had, if I was talking to my daughter and she had her first job, she's 22 years old, she gets her first job. Let's just say she's making $40,000 a year, whatever people are making. I mean, there's just a handful of things I would tell her. I would say, immediately start your 401k. And once you start it, never stop. Right. Invest it, over 3 or 4 mutual funds. I don't care what you pay. Just pick stuff that's aggressive because you're super young. You got 40 years plus before you're going to touch this money. Start saving to, buy a house if that's what you want to do, or a condo, whatever you want to do, like wherever you want to live, start saving towards those things.
So you're not paying somebody else's mortgage.
Yeah.
That's what rent is.
If you're going to get a credit card, pay it off monthly. That's an absolute must, that you never hold a balance on a credit card. And just don't do stupid things. Don't go buy cars that you can't afford. Don't buy things that you can't afford. It goes back to the rule.
Spend less than you earn.
Right.
And invest the difference.
Spend less than you earn, invest the difference. It sounds like a broken record, and it's just setting those things up. And then, like we were talking about, the ultimate is that you can't touch it. Can't touch it. There's forget about the emergencies. The only emergencies are terminal illness and death. Leave it alone otherwise. And I know it sounds dramatic, but it really, I've just seen it play out so many times within clients' lives, friends' lives.
Well, because once you make that first withdrawal, the second withdrawal is so much easier. Like you've already done it once, and then it's so much easier. Well, I'm just going to take a little bit more. And it's like, okay, but that's a very slippery slope. And once you're on it, it's hard to stop.
So I see that with people withdrawing from investment accounts or taking loans from their 401k. Either one, I think, is terrible idea. And you see it from real estate. People just pulling equity out like it's an ATM machine. Like you say.
Like an ATM. It's not an ATM machine, people.
It's not an ATM machine. Yeah. It's like just.
Well, and then they're surprised. Then they go to sell and they're like, where's all my equity? Like, I don't know, you spent it. Like, what are you looking at me for?
Yeah,
like, I don't you already cashed out. It already paid you.
Because in that moment, it's like that dopamine rush, or not even a dopamine rush, but it's like you feel good in that moment. You're not looking at that long downstream
You feel satisfied,
effects.
Right? And you're not looking long term.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, if you're not looking long term, then you're destroying yourself. You're just destroying your future from a financial perspective.
You're just digging a deeper hole under the foundation of your house.
That's it. So Financial Independence 101 is nothing complicated. I mean,
it's very simple.
There's so many other podcasts out there within the financial independence community that have like 200 episodes of, from anything from like Roth IRA conversions to like all these like minute like tax details. If you do tax optimization, and then investment real estate and all these. It's it's good information.
Yeah.
If you really want to get into it and you like all that stuff. If you want to keep it super simple, forget all that stuff. I pay
an accountant. Like, I don't need to know. I'm like, there's 20 something schedules on my corporate return. I'm like, I don't need to know.
I don't want to know. Here's the fee.
Where do I sign?
Who do I make the check out to? Yeah. Like
exactly. I keep my records and but I don't need to know the schedules and crap. But yeah.
Yeah.
You can get mired in the details. There is such a thing as too much information.
Yeah.
And, as a culture, we're kind of information junkies. And I know you and I both read and listen to a lot of podcasts, and we're recording one, but, there is such a thing as too much information that is dangerous, probably even more dangerous than not enough information.
I like what you said earlier when you said that it's all this is very easy to do, but it's very easy not to
do it. Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy thing, is that it's just as easy not to do it. And most people, I would say, don't do the things they really need to do, which would take them 5 minutes. Like, it would take you 5 minutes to sign into your employer's, 401k account, hit a couple buttons, bam.
Set it up, automate it.
Payroll deduction, done.
Let it go.
Same thing with your bank accounts. Have a savings account, have a checking account. You have a direct deposit going into your checking, have an automatic something going into that savings account every time you get paid. Yeah. It's on autopilot. You don't need to do anything or initiate. You just have to initiate it the one time, and it's on autopilot. And if you don't do that, this is the thing. People aren't looking at what that looks like over a 10, 20, 30-year period.
It's the long-range perspective.
It's tough. It's tough not to think about.
Like diet or exercise, like in the moment, that extra glass of wine or the extra piece of chocolate. And it's like, well, you're not looking, how that compounds over time. So,
yeah. And how much harder it's going to be later on to get out of that, or, so all simple concepts, simple to do and very easy not to do. We got to do one of those. That's a new podcast episode. Simple to do and simple not to do.
Simple not to do.
Yeah, that's a story
we
of
can
many
take that
lives.
in a lot of directions. Yeah, communication, relationships.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that is our take on Financial Independence 101 and the race to financial independence, or race to FI. So once again, if you want to follow Diane and myself, we're at faconfessions.com. Please share, subscribe, like, review, comments, pass it on to your friends. And that was episode 12. So we're going to do episode 13 next week, which is a cool one.
Yes.
I mean, I do like the financial ones that we do, like the one we just did. But I have to say, my heart goes more in the direction of the more contemplative ones, like the Book of Opposites and maybe the Zen Parable. So there's a Zen Parable called Maybe. You could all look it up beforehand if you'd like. But we're going to talk about that and how the Book of Opposites and how they relate. And to me, this is the stuff I love to talk about.
It's the personal stuff. It's the more, more intimate. But
and it's like everything's a dichotomy, and everything's two-sided, light and dark. We're all hypocrites in some way.
Well,
right? I mean, just being honest.
Walking hypocrites.
Some way, yeah.
We all have our vices.
So please follow us. Leave a comment, and we will talk with you next week with Book of Opposites and maybe the Zen Parable. Thanks, Diane.
Thanks, Al.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you next week.